take what they say, one up them, right? And so like I'm gonna
they say, find a person who is professional at one upping them, and then bring them in and then publish it to your 1 million person YouTube channel.
Yes, like we actually teach this from a customer service. I know I'm going totally cross pollination here, but we call it there can only be one person in the angry boat, and so customer comes in, they're shouting, and I learned this from my one of my earliest business mentors. I worked at a fur coat dealer. So like brushing, furs, it's a glorious job. I was 18, it was the summer. And so this lady walks in, and I was at the retail shop, which normally I was in the warehouse where the peasants were. And so this lady comes in, and she's making a whole mess of noise. And the guy walks towards me, the owner, and I see him like roll his eyes. And then as he turns the corner to go where she can see him, he like his face turns into a smile. And then he's like, Mrs. Robinson. And then he just goes into rage mode. And I was like, whoa, what's happening? And he was like, wait, there was a button missing on your jacket. He's like, give me that jacket. He like pulls it out. He's like, who sold this to you? Who let you walk? He said, did anyone see you in this? And he was like, tell me their names right now. I'm going to they're going to be out of here. Like we're going to terminate their employment. We're going to make sure that they never eat again, all this stuff, whatever. And she, all of a sudden, she was like, oh, no, no one saw me in it. I just saw it when I got home. If you guys could just, of course we're going to fix it. No question whatsoever. And so, of course, he takes the ticket. She leaves. He comes to the back, and he just looked at me, and he was like, only one person can be in the angry boat. And it was a lesson that has stuck with me. And so in this instance, everyone is angry at you. And so the only thing because people are contrarian by nature, all you can do is be angrier than them at whatever it is. And so like getting the comedian to like, oh, you think he insulted me? Like, here's a picture of my cold shriveled dick after a nice after my polar plunge. You want to see like, so it's like, can you do that? And it's just leaning into what feels unnatural and uncomfortable, but it's the only way to respond.
You cannot wish for a strong character and an easy life. Each is the price of the other. What if what you're going through isn't hard? What if you're just sensitive?
I think that most of us can look back on our lives to 10 years ago and think about the problems that we were dealing with then and think about how much of a pittance and how small those problems were compared to the problems that we deal with today. At least that's how I probably feel. Maybe you feel the same way. And so I then think, okay, well, if I feel that way about the problems that I had 10 years ago, then 10 years from now, Alex will look back at the problems that I'm dealing with today and feel the same way. And so if he feels that way then about the problems that I have now, then the only difference is the perspective that he has that I don't have. And so I might just be a sensitive little pansy, and maybe these aren't problems at all. Maybe these are just facts of life. And I need the only counter that I have seen is to be louder. And so if someone increases the volume on something, I don't believe that you draw attention to that person. I've more or less not been in I'm going to address someone directly, but I may counter what this person says without addressing them and be 10 times bigger and louder about it as a way to counteract that. And so like I had a bad reputation in college, which I've shared some of that in my story before. And the reputation was that I was a philanderer and was, all about girls and whatever. And so I wanted to not have the reputation. And so it wasn't like I was going to go talk to those girls and be like, I need you to recant your story. I had to make my actions so much louder that I was no longer going to be that way for an extended period of time to counteract that thing. And so if we're thinking about like how to respond to people being shitty to you, if you believe what they say and it's true, agree and one up. If what they say is something that isn't true but does besmirch your reputation, then you can only respond by being louder with the truth. And I think that like I think about these things. Obviously, we're in a position where we have to deal with this all the time, as like almost playbooks for dealing with shots.
Well, this is one of the things that people got wrong about Dave Portnoy's cancellation. So
I didn't even know he got canceled.
Dave had sex with maybe two or three girls that sold a story. No, separately.
Oh, okay.
Sold a story to the Atlantic, I think. Pussy number. Sold a story to someone, and they were looking around, and I think they're still going. I'm pretty sure that only a couple of months ago they tried to notify some pizza event that he was doing. Yeah. Do you know that we're investigating him about that? And then he called them out. So what's happened is there's been a million Me Too allegation things that have come across. People saw the way that Dave Portnoy responded. He came out of the fences absolutely swinging, swinging so hard, said, this is fucking bollocks, it's baseless. I think he maybe even somehow had video evidence or audio evidence of some kind, maybe internal CCTV cameras. Basically, all of this stuff is dog shit.
Yeah.
People took, Dave Portnoy didn't take any shit and he didn't back down and he didn't do an apology and he didn't do the rest. It's like, yeah, guess why? Because he didn't do it.
Right.
Because he wasn't in the wrong.
Yeah.
If you are the guy that did do the thing, you don't have that. That's a firm foundation. Right. What you're doing there is just creating this like cathedral of lies and dog shit on top of a sandcastle of lies and dog shit.
Which will then get found out and you'll get slammed 10 times.
Way harder.
Yeah. Rightfully so, to be fair.
But that's the thing. So learning, okay, why did he do this particular tactic? Well, he ran that play because the basis of where he was at allowed him to.
Loud as shit about the truth. One thing that we talked about earlier with canceling, and I have so relatively contrarian views on canceling. I genuinely,
if you can be in a bad mood for no reason, you might as well be in a good mood for no reason. If it's not going to change your life, it shouldn't change your mood. If the cost is peace of mind, don't buy it.
Yeah, if you can be in a bad mood for no reason, then you can be in a good mood for no reason, which means that if you can do something that's amazing and still have a shit day, it means you can do something that sucks and have a good day, which means the entire excuse around, I don't want to do all these hard things because as a proxy, it makes my mood sad, is ridiculous, because it means that we are ultimately in control of how we want to perceive the work that we do. And so I think that is ultimately the most freeing thing that you can do in terms of how you can equip yourself to get through those harder periods.
Why do you think there's so much cynicism at the moment, especially on the internet?
It's easier. You can always defend no. Like we actually deal with this a lot at acquisition.com from an investment perspective. And we actually have to check ourselves, which is it's always easy to find a reason not to do an investment. So we have a no bias. And you should have, you should overall have a no bias. Like you should say, okay, here's all the things that could go wrong. And you have to kind of think that way because you have to manage risk. But if you say no to everything, you're always right in the short term. But if you never make an investment, you're wrong in the one way that matters, which is you get no return. And so like you always miss the short-term losses, but you lose the big long-term gain. And so it's, again, this is a continuum to be managed more than a problem to be solved. But cynicism is short-term. It's like when you go home, right, and you want to start a new business, or you have a girl that you're bringing back, and your friends and your family are like, she's not going to last, or like, this isn't going to be forever. They are right. Literally every single time, except for the one time you bring your wife home. And in that time, they're all wrong. And it's the one time that fucking matters. And so the idea, but the thing is because of the false positives or the true positives, they might have been right literally 19 out of 20 times. And if they were right the first time and the second time and the third time and the fourth time, why would they bet against no on the fifth time or the 50th time? But you only need one yes or one positive to change your entire life.